too. Anyway, so welcome Terrence Terrell. He's a mortgage lender with Molitor Financial, and we've known Terrence for quite some time, right? I think I've known Terrence close to 10 years, hasn't it been? Yeah.
Yeah, just about.
I know, it's great. And Terrence is an award-winning bodybuilder.
Oh.
and an award-winning mortgage lender too. So
I try.
All the mortgage lenders have been abuzz the last week or 10 days about this 2-1 buy down program, and I thought it would be great to have Terrence come and explain it to us, what that all is about.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. It's relatively simple, and in this shifting market to where, and again, you guys can speak on this more than I can, it's the buyers are having a little bit more power than they've had in the last 2 years. So essentially what the 2-1 buy down is, it's a program where the seller can give the buyer a credit of a certain dollar amount to subsidize buying down the rate for a 2-year period. So whatever their qualifying rate is, let's just use the argument, let's say it's 6.5% right now, depending on what their finances is. Different, of course, for every person, but let's just use 6.5 as an example. So for the first year, the first 12 months of their mortgage rate will actually be 4.5%. And then for the second year, their mortgage rate will be 5.5%. Then from years 3 through 30, assuming nothing changes, they don't refinance, they're up to their qualifying rate of 6.5. So we qualify them at the 6.5. They have to qualify at that rate, but then they have a little bit of a reprieve for the first 2 years. Whereas, a buyer can use, and we can even, look at the calculation, of course, and explain it to them. They can use that fund for anything, right? Of course, it eases them into where things are now. And of course, the hope is that they can refinance before that happens if things improve a little bit. But if not, they know where those payments are going to be 2 years from now. So,
and if they if the rate should drop, there's nothing prohibiting them from refinancing, right?
No, not at all. So everything is, like I said, everything is buyer specific. Everything is property specific. It's not a set percentage of the purchase price that the seller has to give as a credit. It's something that needs to be figured out with the buyer, because some buyers are going to put down 20-25%. Some buyers are going to put down 3 to 5%. Every purchase price is a little bit different. So the seller just has to, obviously agree to a certain credit, which will calculate as you're submitting the offer. And that dollar amount is used to subsidize that buy down for the 2 years.
Is it roughly, Terrence, kind of basically the difference between the payments that the seller, so it's really like a 6.5 loan, to use 6.5% interest loan, and the seller is basically giving them the difference on the payments, or is there some kind of an algorithm that you have to lose?
Correct. No, they're essentially they're subsidizing that difference in the rate, so they're covering that difference.
Okay, so it's really a 6.5 rate, a loan that they're giving them the money to make the payments or whatever, but
for that difference in rate, right? Whether it's the 2% or the 1.
Yeah. So if it's $100 a month savings, the seller gives the first year, they give them $1,200, and the second year they give them, if it goes up to $50 a month savings on the payment a month, they give them $600. I mean, roughly, just
Right, exactly.
So okay, all right.
Yeah, so it's, like I said, it's, as opposed to just asking a seller for I don't know, a couple $1,000s in credit to lower their closing costs. Why not do this? Because it's going to benefit them longer, a little bit better in the short term, but also the long run.
Yeah, I mean, I know that there's a lot of sticker shock with where interest rates have gone in such a short period of time, but I think, but I mean, historically, and Wes and I have been preaching this, that historically, I mean, the rates are not high in historical terms, and I think we have to keep in mind that the rates were being held artificially low during COVID. I mean, the government made a very specific policy of suppressing the rates. So rates were starting to head up before COVID. So I think that locking in a rate, even at 7 or 7.5%, is not a bad thing to do even now.
It's not, the thing, and again, you and I have talked about it, and I have this conversation an uncountable number of times per day. We're focusing on people's monthly payments, and that's, at the end of the day, that's what we need to focus on. The things that we can control, we do. People want their monthly payments at X. Well, we make other adjustments because the rate is something we can't control. Obviously, the buy down can definitely help with, like you said, with the sticker shock, but nothing has to change with a person's approach to their home buying. Payments, they want their payments to be here. So, okay, well, we make an adjustment to whether it's purchase price, whether it's, if they're looking at condos or townhomes, make adjustments to HOAs. Okay, maybe you don't buy a place with a pool and a doorman, maybe you buy a walk-up building. Right. You get the same price, your HOAs go down by $400 a month, whatever it may be. Right. Everything stays the same. And the only thing that can change is if the rates go back down at some point, you can refinance and improve your situation, but there's no point to not, I'm going to wait till next year. And
right.
Right.
Yes, exactly. Right. Yeah. I mean, I think particularly after the midterms, and rates are doing nothing but going up, because that the politicians are doing everything they can to make,
That's my thought too. And right. You know what? Again, my thought process in all this is, like you said, it's the sticker shock of them increasing so much in such a short term. If they level out and stop going up, that'll be gone.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So Terrence, do you see this, the new reality or whatever? Do you see this affecting? I mean, in practice, are you seeing it affecting more younger first-time home buyers? Are you seeing it affecting people, older that are trying to downsize or whatever? That where are you seeing this making the most effect in the buyer pool?
Actually, Wes, you're spot on. It is the younger crowd that is feeling it a little bit more so and seeing it a little bit more so, because they have a little bit more of a short-term memory than that next generation up, because they're going from 2 years ago where interest rates were in the high 2s and 3s to 6 and 7 right now. That's unimaginable for them. But the other generation, they say, well, they're not 12, so I don't care.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They're not 21 or whatever. Yeah.
I'm actually negotiating with the seller right now, and we were talking about the 2-1 buy down program a little bit with him, and he was like, when I bought my place interest, I was like 8.5, 8 3/4, something like that. So
it's, and with, like I said, with the buy down, I have a couple of partners I work with. They have put that, they've, like, same thing with you, they've had a conversation with their seller's willing. I sent them the calculation for a couple of examples. The seller's willing to do it, so they've put it on the listing now. Hey, we'll offer this 2-1 buy down to help the buyer, because again, sellers are now having to put in a little bit more work than they've had to in the past.
Right. Right.
So let's talk numbers a little bit. So since we're seeing that it's kind of affecting a younger, kind of more first-time home buyer sort of crowd, let's say it's a $400,000 property. What are we talking about in the difference of monthly payment between that, like 4.5% and 6.5%?
What are we putting down? Give me a scenario, Wes. So you got a
$400,000
place,
and they put 10% down. So
I mean, my rule of thumb, if the interest rate is 6%, which they're not now, but if it were, it's about $600 per a month per 100,000. So on a $400,000 property, that would be $2,400 a month, right?
So if we're looking, Wes, if we're looking at a $400,000 property.
Well, let's just say the loan is 400. I think that's what you're getting at, right, Wes? You're just trying to put a number on.
Yeah, that's just whatever.
Let's say 400,000. Let's say a $400,000
loan.
$400,000 loan amount. Let's say a $500,000 purchase price.
Okay.
Let's use the example of 6.5. Monthly savings year 1 are going to be $500. Monthly savings year 2 are going to be $250.
What do you mean by savings?
Because you're buying it down to 4.5.
Correct. You're buying it down.
I'm trying to I want to back into it for people. Let's just say, what would your payment be What's the difference in the payment at 4.5 or 6.5?
$500.
That's what he
The
said.
difference in monthly payment is $500. So your difference in monthly payment between 4.5 and 6.5 is going to be $500. And then your difference between in year 2 between 6.5 and 5.5 is going to be $250. So your annual savings year 1 about $6,000. Your annual savings year 2 $3,000. So the 2-1 buy down cost for the seller is about $9,000. So that's the credit that the seller would give to the buyer for this, and that's the savings that they would essentially realize.
Okay. So it's roughly not quite a 2% closing cost credit. It seems like the numbers kind of work out that way.
Depends on the purchase price. I mean, but like I said, with this scenario that I'm using, with a $400,000 loan amount of $500,000 purchase price, it's 1.8.
Right. Yeah.
Percent. So it depends. I mean, of course, like you said, we have different scenarios we can do. I mean, if we take that same loan amount and go, a 450 purchase price, because of course someone's putting a little bit less down.
Right.
That's just at 2% of the purchase price. So like I said, it's right around there, but it really just truly depends property specific, because we have to get an exact dollar amount.
Right. I'm good with rules of thumb though.
I get it.
So,
when I go rules of thumb, I always estimate up.
Right. Yes. Definitely.
I always want to err on the side of caution.
Right. Definitely.
Sometimes people take those rules of thumb and
now, Terrence,
written in stone there.
You sent out a video earlier in the week too about first-time homebuyer grants and the census tract map too.
Yeah, so for sure, of course. So obviously, to try to eliminate as much discrimination as possible, banks are of course required to lend fairly everywhere. So there are certain areas that have a certain income tract, low, moderate, mid, upper, based on income of the area. So banks are now incentivizing buyers to purchase in areas that are considered low and moderate income. And in those particular areas, they're giving a pricing incentive. So interest rates are going to be a little bit better than someone purchasing elsewhere. And also offering a grant, the one that we are using, this grant is up to $4,000. It is not a second lien on the home like some of the other grants are. It is forgivable after 2 years. I know there's a very popular program out there right now, the IDA, that forgivement period is 10, depending on which one you're looking at. But this one's forgivable after 2 years, not a second lien on the home, and it doesn't jack up the interest rate like the IDA does. So you get the advantage of the better pricing. You also get the advantage of having the grant with this particular program, which is nice. And again, these are property specific. There are certain areas, like if we're looking in the Chicagoland area, for example, you can sort of generalize where you think some of these areas might be, but then you also have pockets that are closer toward, the downtown area that you may not expect, like those, slightly farther west neighborhoods like Logan Square, Humboldt Park. Some of those pockets over there are considered moderate income, and at least until things.
Well, it's based on the census tracts, which are only taken every 10 years, right? So I remember this was a couple years ago, must have been before the 2020 census, but I remember there was a pocket over kind of on the border of Logan Square and Avondale, which is a very fast gentrifying area. And it was in this pocket, that one of these pockets that you're talking about, because it's a lag between when the census was taken and when the neighborhood started depreciating. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth researching those maps. But do you get those on HUD, or where do you get those census tract? I mean,
I get them directly. Yeah, no, I jump on the site directly through the bank that we're using.
I was going to say, call Terrence. That's where you
pretty much. I am happy to sit here all day. Someone calls me, I can just type in an address, hit enter, and say yes.
Okay. Well, it's always interesting to find the maps though, because it gives you the boundaries where you can like look in those.
And it's interesting because I mean, it changes block by block. I've seen properties just on the other side of the street.
Yeah.
One goes from moderate, one goes to upper. I have a partner that she has a listing in Brownsville, and that one block is moderate, but if we cross the street, it's upper. And I
Right.
said, just be fortunate that it's here, and we can advertise that, you know, someone can get X, Y, and Z for this particular property just because of the location.
Right.
Which is really nice.
I remember there was a pocket over in Horner Park, like just north of Irving, west of California. I doubt that pocket's there anymore, but this was maybe going back 10 years ago. There was a pocket there that, yeah, qualified. Like, really? How does that happen, right? So it's definitely worth exploring those options for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like you said, in this weird market we're in, leave no stone unturned.
So Terrence, if somebody wants to talk to you and get further information, how do they get a hold of you?
Great question. Easiest way is to either call or text at my cell 847-208-7309. Also can send me an email. I'm on that all day as well. Terrence T at molitorfinancial.com, MOLITOR financial.com.
And what's that phone number again? 847?
208-7309.
All right, great, good. Wes, you got anything you want to add to this? Any questions?
No, I don't think so. I think it's good.
Wes is kind of low energy today. It's a good thing we had you on, Terrence.
Oh man. Did you run the marathon yesterday, Wes?
Yeah, before everybody else though.
There you go. You had it done by 6 a.m.
You know, it was funny. We were headed to church, and the runners start at 7:30, and the elite runners start at 7:30, and we were planning to go out and look at the autumn leaves, kind of get the heck out of Dodge and away from all the traffic after church. And at 9:20, I texted Carl. I'm like, you know, those elite runners are coming into the home stretch here. I mean, it's just unbelievable to think that they finish it that fast.
Yeah, absolutely insane.
Right.
Anyway. I'm glad I was out of town.
Right. Yeah. No, you were up in Minnesota watching the Bears lose. That's right.
Oh yeah. Terrible.
Yeah. Oh, well, it was a nice day for a road trip, right?
Exactly. It was very nice.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Have a good week. And thanks, Terrence.
Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.